So, D&D night went well. I had everything all, like, planned out and ready for an introductory course into making some, well, not coach makings, the mechanics and interactions of what is D&D. What is it like to play Dungeons and Dragons? But instead of just, you know, jumping into a game and showing, like, yeah, this is what it is like to play it, we ran through the boilerplate, more technical stuff of, oh, but what do we want out of this? Except it wasn't what do we want out of it, it's what do we not want out of this? Going through the whole consent sheet and whatnot. Together as a group instead of individually. Everyone was like completely fine. I think each person individually had like one thing that they weren't into. One thing at most. Like, that's alright. Definitely makes it easier for the DM if they don't have to keep track of, oh, so-and-so likes this, so-and-so doesn't want this, so-and-so likes this but not like that, and so-and-so wants that but not like this. And it's like, no, everyone's just like, okay.
Can you prep the kitchen for me?
The issue with introducing new players to D&D with a technical thing is that a new player doesn't understand what it is that they might have to keep an eye out for. But you ask, you know, a new player's like, oh, do you want to be a cleric or a paladin? And they're like, yes? It's like, how are you going to explain to someone who's not familiar with D&D what the difference is between a cleric and a paladin? If you just say, like, oh yes, one is more heals and the other one is more tanks, well, that's not actually true. Because they can both be frontline combatants that can both heal. Sure, a cleric can do more healing, but if you reduce a cleric to just its role of healing, like, you take down like a tier 1 class and make it a tier 3 aspect. Like, cleric, sure, cleric is, you know, the best class for healing, but a cleric should not be seen as it heals, oh, and also does other things. It does all of this stuff.
An adventure with you wouldn't be so
bad. Wears
bad.
heavy armor, so it can be a frontline combatant, has spells, has a wide range of spells, can do all sorts of amazing things. No, it doesn't get an animal companion. Paladins get the mount. It's like, yeah, cleric is a frontline, prime spell, you know, major spell caster. And part of its spells also include healing magic. Like, cure wounds can also be cast by druids and bards. Heck, a druid could also be like the party's healer. Heck, you could just have an NPC be a party healer. Heck, you could just also not bother with having a party healer at all and just like, okay, whatever, you do the fight, you go back to base, you heal back up to full.
Let's go on an adventure!
Like in the high power game that I'm in, I'm sure like what, level 12-ish? The cleric almost never heals anyone. I mean, by level 12, hopefully you have your own healing sorted out. But the cleric is, I think, mostly like buffing and debuffing. Yeah, making yourself and your allies better and making the enemies worse. The cleric is an assist class that can also frontline. Whereas a paladin is primarily... Our paladin is essentially a fighter with some magic tricks. Because it doesn't get its spells to like level 4 anyway.
All right. There.
Oh my gosh, it worked! Alright. Send to the barn. Go back and say, hey, I finished this. Rune Crystal 10k? Fine, Martin will get the cold and magic. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. It's just been those two. So I found a way. So I found like the Forge program as a way to like play like Magic the Gathering against like computers and stuff. I wonder if there's a good way to do like D&D. So I know that there are like a lot of like D&D video games, but none of them are really, I want to say, proper. Are there any D&D video games that allow for a player character to just have flight?
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't put the item. Oh.
Woohoo!
Hey, I have introduced a lot of people into playing D&D, how to play the game, get familiar with the basics, understand how things work and why things work that way, tell the difference between the different dice and all that. I know what I'm saying when I say there are certain ways to introduce people to games that aren't the same for every person. you can't just use one blanket, here's what we do, and just be good with that. Heck, we didn't even really teach people how to play at all. I think, like, number one, most important, unless the person is already used to D&D-esque character creation, like, if they're not already familiar with games like D&D, don't have them make their own character. It's like, oh yeah, here's like, you know, especially bad because all of like the expansion stuff was in. Here's 20 different like character races you could play as. There's dark elves and shadow elves and high elves and wood elves and star elves and moon elves and like, okay. Instead, what you do is, alright, I've made like 6 different characters for a starting level. Like, here's a brief overview of like what each one does. Like, okay, this is a wizard. You stand back and you cast spells from a distance. Here's a ranger. You have a bow. You shoot things with your bow. Like, here's the fighter. You wear heavy armor and you know, you keep your allies from being attacked, and as you attack enemies with your sword, axe, flail, whatever. Here's the cleric. Much like the fighter, but you also have a full complement of spells. And like I've always said, like, I'm a fan of like things that are atypical. So when I was making my like starting like testing out characters for like a testing, you know, introductory session, instead of having a sorcerer or a wizard, because I was making them at level 1 as level 1 characters, and a level 1 sorcerer or wizard is not very good because it's mostly, hey, person with a crossbow. So hey, person with a crossbow with no hit points and no AC. Oh, but you can cast like magic missile like twice per day. You can deal a little bit of damage magically. Or maybe you can cast sleep unless we're facing like elves or something. To be fair, if you want to try to show someone new to the game how a wizard or a sorcerer could be good, give them like one of those save or suck spells. Like, give them a sleep spell at level 1 and have them fight enemies they can use sleep against. Let them know, it's like, hey, yeah, this is a thing that you can just
Boy, am I
do.
tired.
Like, this. So yeah, you can just basically take out multiple enemy combatants at once. However, if they make their save, your spell did effectively nothing against them. It's risk versus rewards for the save or suck or save or die spells.
Yeah. Feeling well?
But most importantly, if they're not already familiar with, you know, if they're not already familiar with the game, show them like the whole, hey, you want to do things? You roll dice to do things. That's the simplest form of it. You say that you want to do things, and I say, okay, roll me this. And it's usually rolling the d20. But yeah, you're not familiar with the dice? Look at your d20, get used to your d20. You're going to be using that die a lot. Get to know which one it is. If you just look at all of your dice in the group, that one's a d20. Get used to seeing it.
Fascinating, is it not?
So while our DM was helping everyone else make their characters, while I was struggling with the website because it wouldn't let me log in because I was using like a different browser or something, because I have access to it like on my computer. Because you're using D&D Beyond instead of paper character sheets. Whatever, it's a little bit easier than... It's
today.
easier to use the online tool than to look through the books manually, but I do have fond memories of looking through books to make characters.
Woohoo! My day is made!
But it's like, I couldn't log into my account. It's like, oh yeah, you're using a different, like, browser or whatever. Like, well, yeah, because I'm using my phone instead of using my computer. What do you mean I can't log in? Because so I had to make a new account to log in with instead. So that took me a bit, but like going into it, just starting to think of characters, I was already thinking like, gosh, it could be so much fun to just be a fairy. But like, I've been around the game. I know. A, fairies typically have level adjustment because they have all sorts of extra spell-like abilities and whatnot. And B, even if one were allowed to play a fairy, DMs typically don't like it if player characters can fly. Flight is a really annoying thing to deal with, both mechanically and, I want to say, sub-mechanically. There's the basics of, hey, we're playing like on the tabletop. How do we represent how high off the ground you are? And then you have to do Pythagorean theorems, like, okay, I have this spell that has a range of 50 feet. Now, they're like 30 feet away, but I'm 30 feet up in the air. So that's not like the full 60 feet, surely. So I'm probably within like 50 feet of them, but am I within 40 feet of them? If they move another 10 feet back, is me being 30 feet up? 30 feet up and 40 feet to cross, say, is that within 50 feet? Like, probably not, but how far is that? And it's like, okay, well, you have a right angle triangle there, so... I was trying to do this without my calculator, but I'm just going to pull it out. So, it's not E equals MC squared, it's A squared, so 30 times 30. Was it A squared plus B squared? Plus, you know, let's say 40. No. Calculator's being weird. So, and then the square root of... I hit the... I'm hitting the wrong buttons. So, if you're 30 feet up in the air and they're 40 feet away, that is a 50-foot distance. Yeah, it's the one they tell you, right? 3 and 4 is the 5, right? Because 9 and 16 is exactly 25. Right. But, you know, extra zeros, whatever. Or like the 30 and 30 is that 30 and 30 is more than 40, for example. Yeah, just how to represent the character being in the air. And also, the stuff that someone can do. Yeah, how to represent them being in the air is more of a sub-mechanically. But the actual mechanics are, oh, hey, we have to cross this, you know, climb up this tower. I'll just fly up the side, hook a rope up here, everyone climb up. Oh, we have to, like, we have to cross this chasm again. I'll just fly across, tie down a rope, people just cross. Oh, it's like, oh, we're fighting enemies that don't have ranged weapons? Okay, I'll fly above everyone with my crossbow and just and it's like,
Wonderful.
Okay. So it's like, okay, well, how do you deal with someone who can just fly to solve all of their problems? And it's... the simplest answer to that is either A, everything is indoors and thus you can't fly out of reach, or B,
My stars! How do you do?
you just don't let them. You just don't let someone play a flying character. And, like, I very much understand that. Technically C, all enemies have ranged attacks. Like, say... or D, you know, you work out something with that player, like, hey, maybe something, they must only use melee attacks or something, so sure, they could fly away, but then they can't do anything while they while they are away. Sort of a thing. But I think the best one is all enemies have some way of dealing with the flying character. Like, there are spells that can force a flying creature to land. So it's like, okay, how believable is it that everyone just has, you know, a land spell prepared at all times? Not usually very believable. But, like, they could. It's possible that they just have landing spells ready to, because they fight again. Or maybe, like, they've scryed the party and they know that party members can fly, so they prepared or something, or maybe they're used to fighting, like, dragons and stuff, and so they just have the magic. Like, there can be reasons for it. Or hey, maybe they just all have crossbows and magic missile spells and whatnot, or, you know, they can have some way of dealing with a flying party member.
All right.
With a flying opponent. They don't have to all be helpless on the ground. Level 6. 6. Level 6. Level 6. No, I can wait the 2 days for that. Speed. This is technically more.
There you go. Easy does it. There we go. Easy does it. There.
So also now I have multiple groups to do stuff with on a regular basis. I have my Sunday D&D, I have my semi-weekly Wednesday D&D is still on indefinite hiatus.
All right.
Which, I mean, that was...
There.
Like, I don't want to speak bad about people, but that wasn't exactly a great game. There are issues of... Like, it was fine, it just wasn't great. Feels like the DM was trying to do too much all at once at the same time, and wound up, like... We're a little bit there, we're like a party of 3, and we're like, okay, the 3 of us, we work together, we do the things, everything is good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, here's like 6 more player characters, just being randomly introduced. But now I have to make sure the game revolves around them as well, because now they are also playing. And it's like... We spent multiple sessions. To remember what all we did. We traveled from one place to another. There's a random encounter with enemies we didn't wind up fighting. It wasn't because like the party didn't want to fight them. It was because the DM said, hey no, don't fight these, they'll kill you. Because there's a DM PC in there. In the party as well. It's like, oh no, you don't fight these things. It's like, then why are you having us face them if we're not supposed to fight them? Why can't we find things that we could actually fight?
Yes!
Like, I understand you want your, like, D&D campaign to be all, like, realistic and stuff, but also, it's a game. Let us, you know, you want to fight monsters and stuff, put some monsters of an appropriate, like, challenge that we can fight against. And I had my whole thing of playing the intelligent sword, but it almost feels like the DM has forgotten that the character is the sword, and the ghostly specter of a person is not the actual character. Because I had to tell the party that's like, no, you can tell.
Nice.
that the person isn't like, you know, flesh. Because the ability that the project image ability allows me to pretend to be a person wielding a sword specifically states in its ability, and the DM had pointed this out to me actually, specifically states that it's like translucent, see-through, and obviously not real. Which then the DM apparently just ignored or forgot when trying to describe my character for me. And, like, no. The cover story is Ghost with Sword. So, you know, the mages, towers, and stuff don't just hear, oh, you know, magic floating, magic talking sword. Let's go and deal with it. The DM gave me like a infinite use telekinesis spell that was supposed to just be used to like carry myself around. But the DM totally messed up with that because telekinesis does a lot more and is actually really good, but it's like, oh, I use telekinesis to like throw the sword. Okay, well now I have to spend a turn going back after it. It's like, no, I don't, but I don't want to argue with you about this right now because that will tell my character to everyone. Just let me do my things. Let me do as I am doing. But then some like personal stuff seemed to have happened, so I had to put that on hold for. Yeah, who knows how long it's going to be. Probably forever. I seem very blasé about it. But it's like, the DM has more important things in life than running a game, then the DM has more important things in life than running a game. Real life takes precedence. Anyway, speaking of just games, also wound up going into a weekly D&D pony-themed game that is also just D&D 5th edition, but hey, we're playing as ponies. And that includes Pegasi, who are just allowed to fly. Remember that whole thing I was talking about before? Maybe that's just more old school little DMs. I feel like that as a DM, there are just certain like challenges you kind of have to just go through yourself before you start realizing, oh, before you start realizing that there are challenges. For example, allowing flying characters. What it can be like to just have, you know, a party member. What?
All right.
Oh, so I need Rune.
Welcome.
Oh, but I needed 20 each of these, right? Bok choy, cabbage, and onion?
No need to stop there. No need to stop there. No need to stop there.
Right, da. No, I need some that's already level 6, but that grows fast. Spinach!
No need to stop there.
No Greenifer yet. And no Greenifer. So corn, 2,700, and with sulfur, 2,200, 2,400? That would still be a monetary loss.
Thanks. That's awesome. Ta-da!
Yo. Take this.
Every time I see that cobalt fish, I'm just reminded of Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, where her bolt is a thing that restores what is essentially your FP. Your RP, whatever. Your friend response. It's like, oh, hey, look, now I can get... I have Turbolt! I can get my energy back! I totally forgot to check the quest. 20 each. Alright. We have Sunday game, Thursday game, now a semi-weekly Monday game, which overall means, yeah, fun. Liquid grass, orange grass, and equipment.
How go the runes?
The runes go. Right, I need to buy coin if I want to get Rune fur.
Corn.
At least the corn is on sale, but using it in a cooking recipe would actually just mean I'm losing out on money. So that would be unfortunate.
Welcome. No need to stop there. Thanks!
I still have the Minecraft running from earlier. And I'm just standing in our base, starving to death. But since we have regeneration on, I'm not... My health is still full while I'm starving to death.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Also, I didn't realize you could start starving to death, but if you don't do actions. My hunger went all the way down, but I wasn't, like, doing things. So it shouldn't have gone down.
Eh. Hard to say.
Wait, do I not have orange grass?
Uh-oh. Did you lose your orange grass?
Okay, so it's on that mountain, apparently.
It's funny seeing you manually move the cursor around because you're looking something up, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just funny seeing it meandering around on screen.
Alright, so now I have to go... Wow, I don't have warp points for here yet. Alright. So... Wait, was I say something?
Something.
Okay, good. You are on the OBS. So I spent the first half of this episode talking about introducing people to D&D and whatnot. And how I believe it's better for someone's first character, assuming that they are not familiar with D&D or D&D-like games, give them a pre-generated character sheet, as opposed to having them make their first character. Do you want to weigh in on that discussion?
Say that again?
If you're introducing someone to D&D who has never played D&D or any like D&D like games like Baldur's Gate, it's better to give them a pre-generated character than to have them make their own character.
I mean, it's hard to say definitively. I'll just say this. I've never used a pre-gen character in any D&D, like, actual game or video game or anything like that. Every single time, I've always, like, made it manually. However, that's kind of just, like, that's something that's more suitable for me. Like, it depends on the person.
Yeah, but like the first time you played D&D, you're probably familiar with games of that nature, right? Like you'd played RPGs.
Yeah, I played RPG video games, sure.
Yeah. So you'd have at least, an idea of like what you want. But so often I see it's like, oh, well, what do you want for your character? Oh, you want to heal? Oh, are you more of a cleric or more of a paladin? And it's like, A, how would someone know the difference between the two? Because on the surface they are very similar classes.
Okay, well,
And B,
yeah, well,
those aren't
yeah,
the only ones that can heal.
yeah, you wouldn't describe it like that, but like the stuff that you would go with is, okay, do you want to be more of like, okay, first of all, do you want to be focused more on like religion
Magic?
or on nature?
Well, no, because first I say it's like, okay, do you want more magic, spellcasting, martial, like sword fighting, bow use, whatever, or both? It's like
Technically,
magic.
that doesn't really narrow it down.
Well, like, no, that's like the first question. It's like tier based. Magic, that's like, okay, there's wizard and sorcerer. If you're new, sorcerer is better. Because sorcerer is better for a new character than a wizard. Because then you don't have to keep track of, oh, I can cast this spell twice today, or this spell once, like...
And also, generally, you have access to less spells at any given time. Like, wizard is definitely... It's a lot of work to keep track of things, yeah. So, fair enough.
Although I'm playing a wizard in a 5th edition game. And apparently that's not a problem there.
Oh.
You just have your spells, and you can just cast whichever spells you want at whatever.
Is that just how the game is being run, or is that rules as written?
That seems to be just how 5th edition is. They took out the whole... Oh, you have to, like, prepare your spells at the start of the day.
Really?
So, what it seems to be is, you have, like, your spell book of all your different spells that you have access to. You prepare... you prepare a set number of spells, and for the day you can cast those spells like a sorcerer. So, if you're low level with a high enough intelligence, you can just prepare all of your spells and cast whatever you want whenever you need. Plus, also, 5th edition has infinite use of cantrips. Whereas 3.5 does not, but 3rd edition cantrips can thus be better than 5th edition ones.
I think I do like the idea of the cantrips or the horizon for the like clerics and stuff like that. They're just usually super weak versions of spells you would get at higher levels that you can use basically as much as you like because they're so weak that really that it doesn't break the game to allow you to do so.
Yeah. I noticed.
And it also ensures that a caster is never completely useless after, like, 2 castings of Magic Missile.
So here's the thing, though. In 5th edition, one of the cantrips that I was able to get is basically make an attack roll using your intelligence, deal 1d6, I think it's plus intelligence modifier, damage. That's basically just using a crossbow, except you don't have to pay for a crossbow, you don't have to worry about bolts, and it's based off of intelligence. So you're doing...
This is a cantrip?
Yes.
My god, that is...
And it does radiant damage. I think that there are others for the various different types of damage as well. So it's better than just having a crossbow, so you can just... Oh no, out of all my main spells, don't worry, cantrip. Attack, 1d20 plus like 3 or 4, whatever. Then 1d6 plus 4 damage, and it's like, vroom, 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 vroom.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
pretty effective.
Yeah, if you're remembering that correctly, then that is insanely overpowered. But then again, I mean, let's be honest here. What is the name of the company that makes Dungeons & Dragons?
Wizards.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast. It's just like, of course that's the class they're going to favor. Of course that's the class that's always going to be, especially at high levels, the best thing to do. And the thing is, honestly, I think that works like from a storytelling perspective. But from like an actual like, gameplay perspective, the way that wizards just become too powerful too quickly, I feel.
Yeah, like, wizards are supposed to be incredibly weak at the early levels, and that's like why they team up with other classes.
Yeah.
Like, in universe, why would anyone not be a cleric, a druid, or a wizard? Because sorcerers are supposed to be like, oh, you're born with the potential for magic, you can't just become a sorcerer. But if you have that potential for magic, you must be a sorcerer. So, okay, reasonable that someone wouldn't just, in-universe choose to be a sorcerer because, hey, maybe they're just not born with the magic. But, and then wizard, okay, not everyone wants to, study for 50 years, although, strictly speaking, you don't have to. You study like a human wizard, going by like the aging rules in the book, can start wizarding stuff by like age, I think 20? Something like that. So as long as you prepared from age 15 to 20, you study for 5 years, basically you go to college, starting at age 15, once you graduate, hey, now you have your wizard stuff and you can be wizard.
Yeah. But it's just also the fact that, like, for the martial classes, it makes sense that as you fight and, stuff with that, you get experience, you get stronger, blah, blah, blah. But for wizards, and well, even like with, clerics and, druids, they're, as they're actively doing stuff, they're becoming more attuned, to their, their source of magic. Druids, become more connected to nature as they're, using those powers. Clerics, they've proven themselves like to their deity, etc.
Yes.
But if the whole concept for wizards is that they get their magic, they get better at magic by studying.
Yep. But studying, throwing fireballs in someone's face until they die is just as effective as, much more effective than actually reading. Because there are no mechanics for, hey, read a bunch and get experience.
Yeah. And it's just like...
Otherwise, players would just be all like, hey, can we have like 3 months of downtime so I can spend 18 hours a day reading?
Well, and another one, bards. Of course they get stronger the more they use their bard powers because they're practicing their music. Or whatever thing that they're doing.
Yes.
That absolutely will make you, will fast track you, improving
yes.
on that. But it's just weird that especially with the whole learning new spells thing for wizards, the fact that, yeah, you level up, you basically spontaneously learn new spells. And it's just like, while that can make sense for, like, say, a sorcerer, who's just... The whole concept there is basically they accidentally, perform a new spell sort of thing, just instinctively. Like, it makes sense there. It's just with wizards specifically. Lore-wise, it makes no sense that they improve the same way as everybody else.
Well, you could, if they are fighting against other wizards, it makes sense. But like other spellcasters in general, learn from your enemy on how to better do magics.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you're casting that with, like, this way. Okay, I'll cast it in that same way so I can start casting better, too. But it's just, hey, I beat you up good. Like, in the Sunday game I'm in. Which Donnie is that? We went through basically a cave system where it's like, oh, hey, look, branching path. Marissa goes, scouts out, instantly slaughters illithids and stuff that are down the path. No actual fight, just one attack, they're dead. And just do that a whole bunch. She's not using up any, like, daily abilities, whatever. Just turns invisible, sneaks up, kills. Boom, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Not learning, really, how to fight these things, because it's just get behind them and kill. And not only did she level up, the whole party levels up, because one party member was just sneak around, kill. Over and over and over again. But that gave us as much experience as if we as an entire party had worked together to fight it. So it feels like that there should be a thing for encounters that's like apply a multiplier for like how for the danger level of the specific encounter.
There we go. There you go. There we go.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you just went quiet. Something happened.
Sorry.
Take that.
No, I was just... Yeah, it's... The whole thing is very... It's like, I get it. Yeah.
The entire thing is arbitrary, is what it is.
Does it?
Yeah. But it's just so weird that it's just like, out of all of the things, like, that's the only one that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, one could argue that, like, the Alchemist sort of class, I don't know, is that in 5th edition? I know it's in Pathfinder.
Maybe?
Which is...
I don't know.
But basically, Alchemist is basically just a wizard, but through chemicals, instead of...
Does it?
Yeah, basically chemicals and explosives and stuff like that, rather than just strict studying. But again, even then, it makes more sense, like, because the whole concept of an alchemist is they're experimenting. And, when they, and basically, they're doing chemistry and stuff like that. Like, it makes...
Yeah, they're actually testing on the field.
Yeah.
So, but also, in D&D, you can have a character who's just, like, a fighter, hits things with sword, and then levels up and goes, oh, I want to be a wizard now, or, oh, I want to just be a sorcerer. And, like, if you really think about, like, the lore ramifications, like, a lot of people want to, like, multi-class randomly, and it's like, oh, yes, my fighter has decided to take, but my character has, like, 1 level of monk, 2 levels of fighter, a level of rogue, 3 levels of this one prestige class, 4 levels of this other prestige class. Because that's most effective for all of this stuff, and it's like... People give the older editions of D&D a lot of grief for decisions that the developers made for. one of the decisions that gets a lot of flack is if you have a character that wants to multi-class, you effectively lose all of the things that you had gotten from your previous class. Well, not particularly. If you use anything that you had from your previous class, you do not get any experience for the encounter. So if you were, say, a 5th level wizard and you wanted to go into rogue, if you use any of your wizarding powers in a fight, you don't get any rogue experience because you weren't acting like a rogue, you were acting like a wizard. It doesn't matter if you use sneak attack on 20 enemies, you cast invisibility to get there, you cheated, you don't get any rogue experience for doing the sneak attacks. Until your rogue level is equal to your wizard level.
Alright!
Yeah, what was it? So I know in the, like, the extent of my experience, like, with, like, well, 2nd edition, AD&D, whatever you wanna, however you wanna describe it, is, like, the original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 games, which, again, are kind of more... They're certainly not one-to-one, you know, perfect, you know, matchups. But I find it interesting how that works. First of all, like, actually, like, choosing a new class, like, on a character that's already been established and all that stuff. You can only do that if you're a human.
Oh yeah, I'm
For
not
some
thinking about that yet.
Only humans can dual class, and it basically locks away all of your class features of your original class until your 2nd class catches up. But basically, you can never level up your original class ever again. Just eventually you'll get access to the abilities and stuff. And the other one, like, if you actually want to be like a multi-class character, has to be at character creation, and then your experience is split up between your classes.
Yep.
That said, one thing that's one thing that, well, that actually kind of makes, like, really makes, you know, balancing that sort of very interesting is the fact that in that edition, different classes leveled up differently. Yep. Like, it wasn't, like, because in third edition onwards, as far as I'm aware, every class, you know, it's just like, it's 1,000 experience to get from level 1 to level 2, 2,000 to get from level 2 to level 3, etc. Whereas, in the previous one is just like, how each class levels up can be very different, which means that if everyone has the same amount of experience, even if everyone is single-classed, certain characters will be higher level. Yeah.
I also remember that
the multi-classing
magical gear was...
Yeah, I'll just saying, if multi-classing, it just means that you could be, what was it, like a level 7 rogue, level 5 fighter, level 4 mage. I think.
Something like
because,
that.
Yeah, because I know rogues were, like, the class that leveled up the fastest. Pretty sure. But,
for reasons.
And wizards were fairly slow, but that's because, I mean, they definitely gain more per level up, honestly. But, which is an interesting way of balancing it, and on the one hand, I understand why they changed it to make it that everyone levels up the same way. It's certainly a lot more accessible, but I do feel like, you know, we kind of lost something with that process.
Yeah, anyways, different classes...
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Different classes leveling up at different rates means that a class that's just generally worse is a higher level. So maybe one could argue that, like, say, a level 10 rogue is equivalent to, like, a level 6 mage. Maybe. But then it also just, like... Then, say you're with a group and someone's relatively new or, you know, has been away and whatever, it makes, you know, leveling from experience so much worse. Like, say one party member takes out an entire fight, should they just get all the experience? And then they level up, say the mage just, oh, fireball that group, oh, charm person on this person so they don't fight and we just win this. You know, fireball that, sleep spell on that. You know, just take out everything, and then should just the mage be leveling up, and then. But also, so. Right. I'd heard, I don't know if this is true, that if a mage wanted to make a magic item, they had to put in some of their own stats into it, so as long as that item exists, the mage permanently has lowered stats. So you want to make like a +1 sword for your fighter? Okay, but you have -1 intelligence for as long as that sword exists. So it's like, oh, you want to just make some like, oh, you know, +1 armor for the fighter, +1 weapon for the rogue, you know, some magic item for like the cleric. Okay, well, -3 intelligence. You're much worse at magic now. And everyone else just has one thing that makes them slightly better. And
I don't.
Like a huge penalty.
I don't remember that specific part. I do remember that a lot of, you know, creating magic items, at the very least, straight up just ate up your experience. But the way you're describing it makes it sound as if the item gets destroyed or whatever, the wizard gets their experience back. Pretty sure that doesn't. Well, at least from what I've seen, that doesn't happen.
Again, it's just a thing that I had heard. But even in like 3rd edition, 3.5 edition, making a magic item means that some of your stats do get... your experience does get eaten. I don't think it's the same in Pathfinder. You can just make stuff without having to pay experience. In order to encourage party members to actually do so. In order to encourage players... Gosh. Yeah, because they want to encourage players to make magic items instead of just, hey, we have money, buy stuff. DM says this is available. Okay, I guess not buy stuff. Be weaker player because not buy thing. D&D roguelike. D&D, nice roguelike game.
Does it?
Could go so interestingly. Have your character run through dungeon. If you get stuff, but then your character dies, use stuff for a new character. Random items and whatnot. Do you think that people would be interested in playing like a D&D roguelite game?
I mean, I'm sure they exist like in video game format, but
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. Some people might like that. Some might not. Like it's the sort of thing where it's just like it literally would depend on the person.
I wonder if I should try to drum up interest in such a thing on the on our Discord server. Just ask like, hey, let's try to run a D&D roguelite game. See if anyone would be interested in something silly like that. So it has some potential. Just go in until the party dies, but then you get to like transfer what, 10% of what you got to your new character, but that 10% stays permanent. Oh, you got 100 gold? Cool. You have all new characters you make now start with an extra 10 gold. Oh, you got 200 experience? Okay. Extra 20 experience for a new character. I feel like too many people would be all like, oh, but I spent like 12 hours making this level 1 character. What do you mean they're going to die? Even if you tell them up front, the idea is for constant and consistent TPKs. Oh, but I made a backstory for this character. When are you going to incorporate my character's backstory? I'm not. I told you that from the onset. Do not get attached to these characters. Oh, I guess I'll just make the twin brother of my previous character so they can eventually... No. Just make new characters. Try new builds. Do not get attached. If you do accidentally get attached to a character, I don't know, save that information somewhere to use in an actual D&D game. Not this one.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not just a me thing, right? Like, people really don't pay attention to these sorts of things sometimes.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong there. That is an issue, is that people will just... Yeah.
You tell them, hey, don't make your own character ahead of time. We're going to be using some custom character creation rules. I'll go over it when we have everybody together. You have one person constantly asking, oh, what are the rules? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? It's like, I told you, we'll go over it when we're all together. Oh, but what about this? Oh, what about that? We'll go over it when we're all together. Well, I'm not interested in playing if I can't make my character. It's like, we'll make the characters together. If you don't like there being custom rules, go on your merry way. And sure enough, you actually get to the session, at least one person's already made a character without the custom rules. Because they just heard, hey, let's play it. I'm gonna play, you know, this character that I made for a different game. It's like, we're using custom rules, I said that. Oh no, it's fine, I'll just play my character without the custom rules. It's like, you can play that character without the custom rules in a game that doesn't use the custom rules.
Yeah, some people are just...
Hey, for this game, gonna go with, like, an interesting thing. Nobody play humans. There's gonna be, like, plot and lore reasons for it, but nobody play humans. Sure enough. Oh yeah, I'm playing a human fighter? It's like, I said no humans. This character's the exception. They were actually raised by half-orcs. You can play a half-orc. No, but he's a human because I need the extra feet for, like, this, awesome build I did. It's like, I had said, no humans. I was in a game as a player, not as a DM. We had just, like, wound up TPKing after an extended campaign with this same DM, who has a whole lot of homebrew stuff that we can look through. I had asked the party, hey, does anyone have any idea what they want to build for this new game? Everyone... And nobody had any clues yet. The next game wasn't for like a week or two. So I said, okay, I want to try out this particular race from the DM's homebrew stuff, but it says that they are very racist against humans. I would like to ask everyone to just not build a human, because I want to build with this race, and I don't want to have there, you know, have to be conflict between us because the race is racist. No response. The game happens. 5 of the 6 other players made humans. And this wasn't me, like, just asking in a voice chat. I'd asked, like, over the Discord. Nobody responded when I said this. Nobody said anything in the Discord until the game started. Everyone just stayed in their own little bubbles, made their own characters, completely ignored the Discord for the entire week. Oh yeah, I made this thing! I made human ranger, I made human cleric! But then of course, like, session 1, we're supposed to be a good aligned party. We save a town from some monsters, whatever. That's stuff that a good aligned party does, right? You know. One of the party members, the only one not playing a human, but they're playing a dwarf, which my species is apparently extra racist against or whatever, decides, hey, we saved this, you know, little farming whatever town. There might be 20 people in the whole town. Like a hamlet, a thorp, whatever the term is. Okay, well now they're gonna have to pay us 100 gold a month for every one of these 8 people that we saved for the rest of all time forever because we saved them. Let's spend this entire gaming session writing out a contract to make these people pay more money than they'll ever see in their lifetimes each month so we can have a steady stream of income. And it's like, dude, this is moronic. They don't have the money, and why should they pay you? It's like, oh, well, if they don't pay us, we'll just, you know, kidnap their people and take them prisoner again. It's like, dude, we're supposed to be good people. Oh, well, I'm, you know, I'm chaotic good, so I write contracts and hold people up to their bargain. But I don't actually have to, you know, not hold people against their will, because I'm chaotic good. So, no, what you're doing is specifically lawful evil.
Yeah.
Big and strong, okay?
And, like, the rest of the party was just silent throughout this whole thing. Nobody spoke for or against this whole contract thing. Like, 5 people sitting playing on their phones or whatever, right? Well, one person's like, oh, yes, we save these people, so let's, you know, force them to pay us copious amounts of money. And by us, I mean specifically me. Only me. I get the money because even though we saved them together, I'm the only one who thought to hold these people for ransom. As we go on an airship across the continent, they're going to keep paying us in regular installments on our airship from their little tiny town in the middle of some forest somewhere. Forever. It's like... I kind of wish I had kept that person's like contact information just so I could keep calling them a moron.
You're big and strong, okay? I hope it comes out okay. You're big and strong, okay?
That game had like a lot of weird and seemingly arbitrary rules. Stuff. You couldn't play half-breeds. No half-elves, no half-orcs. Just full breeds.
I hope it comes out okay. Watering time.
You know, arbitrary. You also can't play as a full orc, so if you just want to be a half-orc for the strength bonus, screw you, no. PHP only, except for what the DM gives separately. Was it right? All like all spellcasting stuff. Instead of regenerating the spells per day, you regenerate them per week. It's like a level 1 mage with 2 level 1 spells. Yeah, that's 2 per week. It's like, okay, well, go have our 1 encounter, then instead of having a long rest, let's go have 7 long rests so I can restore my spells. Go back into the dungeon for the next mission. For the next fight. Spend the spells, go back to town and sleep for a week. Go back into the dungeon. But also, if there was ever a situation where the party had to decide stuff, instead of everyone just coming to agreement, everybody roll your initiative, and that's the order that we will, allow you to talk about and decide what you want to do. Which got really... because there were a lot of us playing at once. Which got really, really bad when they're, exploring a forest or whatever. And then someone had said, hey, what if we, go back to shore, get on our boat, go back to the other continent, and go and do this thing. It's like, oh, that will take, 2 months. Yeah, sure, let's just do it. Okay, well, 2 months later, you arrive back on the mainland, and it's like, excuse me? Someone, not actually me. Someone was like, hey, I wanted to do this thing. Oh, you mean back on the other island that you were on? Yes, you hadn't actually, finished initiative order. I was waiting for my turn. And now here we are suddenly 2 months later, 1,000 miles away. I wanted to do other things. You didn't ask everybody, oh, is that okay with you? And actually get an answer. You just said, oh, is that okay with everybody? Okay, 2 months later. You didn't... that person wound up leaving after that mission. And frankly, I should have gone with them.
Yeah, that's just...
Going through a dungeon, every single little alcove and dead end and room. Oh, let's roll on this 1D 16,000 sheet so we can describe every little last room. They weren't, pre-decided, so every time someone opened up or walked in sight of a new room, oh, roll on the sheet. Scan through, scan through, scan through, scan through. Big description, just in voice, not in text, so you have to, memorize what each one of these rooms are. And sometimes the rooms have stuff that really shouldn't be there, why is there a painter's studio on the 7th floor of the Ice Dragon's cave? Why is there a farm with cows in a 5x5 room? Not 5x5 spaces, 5 feet by 5 feet room. You're talking about that there's like a garden and a cow in here. You've also said that apparently looks like no one's been in here for a while, but there's a cow here. Wanted to do an encounter that was basically chess. Have the party go on like a chessboard thing, and like you had to move as your piece moves, but then instead of just taking out pieces, you got like a standard action worth of attacks. Basically, you got to do your turn, but your movements could only be as the piece. We rolled initiative, but it's like, it's chess. We want this piece to move. It's like, oh, you can pass your turn, but if you go, they go. It's like, okay, pass, move this person. Pass, move this person. It's like, can't we just... We're deciding as a team. If you're asking each person individually, they're bound to think, okay, is it better for me to move or to wait for the actual proper move? And then after like 10 minutes of telling the DM that'd be better if we could just make the move as a team, the DM finally realized, okay, I guess you can work together on this because you're basically doing that anyway. It's like, lots of big ideas, very bad implementation. We get to like this big dragon boss fight. Sure, there's a lot of us, and we're like, what, level 6 or something? It's like an ancient white dragon, like CR like 16 or so. We have no magic items. That's another homebrew. No magic items. Period. But it wasn't just like a big old giant white dragon. They also had 3 high-level, like, minion allies. Each one of them individually would be a very tough boss fight for an entire party to fight. But since we hadn't found them, despite exploring everywhere, we hadn't found them, so we hadn't killed them. So they're still here. So there's 3 boss fights, plus the Uber boss. They have magic gear, and they have the full accompaniment of spells. We have no magic items, and no spells left. Because we regenerate, remember, once per week. And they outlevel us by extreme. But we couldn't just like go back in town, wait a week to get back our spells, because we have an unknown time limit for this whole thing, and we have to beat it in some amount of time, or else the white dragon will just escape and destroy the entire continent. And our level 6 party was supposed to stop this with no spells and no magic items. You see why we TPK'd, right?
Yep.
Actually, we didn't TPK. Half the party was killed within the first 3 turns, and the DM said, well, there's no way the rest of you can do this. I guess we'll just end this campaign here then. Half the party was killed, and the DM just gave up. Did not give the rest of us an option to fight. Or run away, or escape, or regroup, and the next campaign, something completely different. I actually hadn't thought about that game in quite some time. Wow. Well, any last words for this episode?
Bad DMs are bad DMs.
Yes.